All right, good morning, power hitters. Today is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. I am your co-host, Jarrett McAllister, and we're ready to kick off this Power Hitters Weekly Training. This week is going to be an awesome week, and I'm glad to have it. We have Super Solar Ninja Paul Leon, who's going to help us talk about net metering here in California. But before we get to that, let's get into some success stories, and let me throw it to my co-host Jonathan Brunasso. Aloha, brother.
Aloha from Hawaii. Good morning, 7 a.m. Hawaii time.
What are you doing up that early? You're never up that early.
I'm working every day.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jarrett, for kicking that off.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to put down here at the bottom again, congrats, JC, our mentor leader, for winning $20,000. What the heck? For a Solar Edge contest. Sold a bunch of Solar Edge, won 20 grand, guys. Solar Edge doesn't even have contests for really anybody. And the fact that the largest inverter company in the country decided to give, what was it, Jarrett, 50 grand?
Yeah, or no, it was 30 grand, right? It was 10, 10, 10.
I think they gave 3 lottery tickets. So it's
that's right. Jeez.
30 to 50 grand. So JC is doing amazing things. And Lorenzo, earned 35 grand in one day recently. So the team's doing awesome work. Power hitters, guys, we're about 7 people away from 500. So we're going to have a party when we hit 500 team members.
Unreal.
All right, success stories. Who would like to jump off mute and share a recent success story?
I see Anthony's hand raised.
Okay. Anthony Bonilla.
Mr. Bonilla, what's up, player?
Good morning, guys. So I didn't close a deal while in Orlando, but I closed that deal a day before flying to Orlando last weekend. And this person had 3 quotes with 3 different companies, and I ended up winning the deal. One call close. So,
woo, nice, Anthony. How'd you get that lead, brother?
By just posting on social media. It's a girl who I went to high school with messaged me saying that her husband was interested in solar for their house. So I got on a call with them and pretty much designed it and presented the proposal.
Very awesome. Nice work, sir. Any other success stories?
Great job.
Anyone like to share? Brian, maybe?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me. And I had 2 presentations I did this week. And I did 1 business presentation this week, just having joined this week. So I'm out there trying to figure out how I'm going to get more sales, but I actually was going out to door knock yesterday, and I ran into 2 guys that were door knocking for solar in my son's neighborhood, and asked them how things were going and what they were making, and they weren't really happy. And I told them about power and gave them a flyer. So I'm expecting a call from them hopefully today.
Yes, I love it, Brian. Brian is a realtor.
That'll get us to 500.
He's a realtor with eXp Realty, jumped on the power, and he just reverse sold door knockers to join power. I love it. That is amazing.
I got one that was pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Okay, please.
So kind of to tag on what Anthony said, I use Facebook a lot. Anytime I sell a job, I put it up there, and I got quite a few friends and stuff. So I sold this job that you see this. I guess you don't have it. I sold a job last Sunday, so not this Sunday, but so about 8-9 days ago. They found it on Facebook. We did a 1 call close. I beat the other company by about $5,000, which was with me still making $4,200. And I got their building plans yesterday. So they signed up on Sunday, about a week and a half ago. I got their building plans yesterday, and we're submitting for the permit today in Southern California. So that's pretty good,
So cool, Paul.
Yeah, win-win.
Thanks for sharing one of your 100 success stories. I know it's tough to figure out which one to share.
Well, that was just the most recent one, man.
Okay. Awesome work, guys.
I'd like to jump in real quick, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Not too much of a win, I guess, but I got started with power, I don't know, last month, something like that. And I haven't sold any deals or anything yet, but I run a solar marketing agency, so I'm getting some clients caught up and then starting to focus on myself. So just got a hat created yesterday that says Solar Krista on it. I'm starting to make some posts, starting to hire some new appointment setters, and I'm pretty soon going to start sending leads for me to start getting appointments and stuff going. So no real success just yet, but just getting everything set up to crush it this coming month. So just wanted to jump in and be plugged in, I guess, to keep myself accountable.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for
Priming the
joining us.
pump and taking action, and getting ready and staying plugged in is so important for everybody.
Jonathan,
Great
I
job,
can share a
Krista.
story.
Is that Kiara?
It was. So I had a referral guy call me. He said, Apricot knocked on my door. They're a joke. I heard that I should go through you. Can you help me? Yesterday, I hopped on a Zoom call, gave him the power value, showed him our 400 watt Aptos panel, sent him the link. He was like, wow, I am going to refer 3 friends to you. I work in sales and I really just appreciate you taking the time to answer all my concerns. And he's like a power fan now and he's going to sign up as an ambassador.
Very cool, Kiara. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think one of the takeaways here is with the value, the equipment, the warranty, the pricing, the tools and options, and each one of you, we can win almost every proposal. So it's an awesome platform. I know there's tons of more success stories, but we need to keep this thing rolling here. Thank you so much, Jarrett. Let's rock and roll.
Let's do it.
All right. So anyone that, is not familiar with the power hitters, the team here, Jarrett, myself, JC Rangel, all the amazing leaders under this organization. We have about 22 mentors on the team, all of the beautiful people here that, like Jarrett, like Zach, like Anthony Bonilla, a lot of great mentors to help everyone on the team close deals. Okay, so today we are talking about some really important stuff, and I'm going to lay the little foundation and I'm going to hand it off to Paul Leone. So jam-packed, we're going to talk about California, net metering 2.0, time of use, when we touch on offset and designing, and then real quick, we'll probably hit on batteries and the CPUC. So let's jump into it. All right, so in California, for those of you who don't know, primarily in Southern California, we have SCE, Southern California Edison. In Los Angeles, there's a small area known as LADWP. That's water and power. Northern California, we have PG&E, and they're very expensive. SDG&E is going to be San Diego. They're one of the most expensive. And then
In the country.
Yes. Well, yeah, probably Hawaii, where I'm at, is the most expensive, but San Diego, I think, is probably second highest in the country. Yeah. And if you come to Hawaii, by the way, there's solar everywhere, every hotel, every building, like every coffee shack, because this is the most expensive place for electricity. So it's only a matter of time till other states get more and more expensive.
When's the time when power is going to be available in Hawaii?
I would love that, but I'm not sure if it's a very profitable state to be in, since there's no more net metering. So that'd be cool, but we'll see.
You'd install 4 or 5 power walls on each job there.
Yeah, pretty much. Or heat your water with it or something. So, and then in California, guys, there are what's known as smaller municipalities, other utilities like Sacramento, SMUD, Anaheim, Azusa, Imperial Irrigation District, Riverside, Burbank. So these are smaller municipalities that have their own net metering guidelines and rules that you need to look up if you're going to be selling in those in those areas. And just a little bit of a map, you can see in yellow is the PG&E. It's a giant area. Sacramento here is SMUD. Up by the Oregon border is this other utility called Pacific Corp. Make sure to have a travel adder. And then in the pink here is SoCal Edison. And then in green is San Diego Gas and Electric, some of the most expensive utilities in the country. And we're honestly lucky to sell in utilities that are 20 cents to 36 cents to 40 cents. Guys, you know, in Florida and Texas, they're selling on 11 to 13 cents. And so our prices are almost double and the savings are dramatic. And so today, you know, why are we talking about this? There's a lot of important reasons. With net metering 2.0, with time of use, we have to be educated on these topics. And Paul is going to go into this further, but you know, we're seeing rate hikes in California, 14% rate hike in California last year by Edison. And for the next few years, there's continued rate hikes. And the fires that we were experiencing in California as well, PG&E, in Southern California, millions of dollars of debt is going to continue to raise utility prices. San Diego, again, one of the worst in the country as far as pricing goes. All right, so before I hand it off to Paul Leon, I want to just go over a few terms for those of you that are new. And this is just a good, you know, vocabulary, vernacular to kind of have when you are presenting. So it's a good refresher. So net metering and net metering 2.0, which is known as NEM. Net metering 2.0 is predominantly in most of California. When you go solar, you'll be on net metering 2.0, which has its own rules, regulations, and buyback periods. Time of use, or TOU, is known as a billing plan. It's not a tier plan where you get charged when you use more. You actually get charged depending on the time of day, weekday, weekend, or even the season. So that's time of use. When we talk about offset, are we designing the system to be 120% offset? You know, what does that mean? Is that giving them more? Not necessarily, and we'll get into that. Non-Bypassable Charges, or NBC, those are things that you cannot get rid of. Maybe it's $15, $20, $30 a month, non-bypassable minimum monthly charges. We're going to touch on panel direction. Should they be west, south? Should you avoid north? Should you avoid east? Batteries have something called load shifting, where they can give back a few kilowatt hours during the day. And then on some rate plans on electric bills, we'll see what's called care or D-care or medical baseline. Those are essentially discounts that are given to homeowners that qualify for low income or medical reasons. Different discounts are on the electric bills. And lastly, the CPUC is a California only, and that is a consumer protection guide that needs to be signed by every California homeowner. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Paul Leon, someone who is probably one of the smartest guys in the solar industry, 11 years strong, closing tons of deals. He's more knowledgeable on solar than most anyone I know. So Paul Leon, the ball is yours, my friend.
Just in case, everybody, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are doing very well this year so far.
Yeah.
Have to represent the Halos. So everybody, this is like really, really important. And I'm very, very passionate about this because I've seen through the years that the one thing that will hurt a good company like Power is when people misrepresent, or whether it be on purpose or on accident, and consumers or our customers end up owing a lot of money to the utility company later. So knowing how to properly size the system in SCE, PG&E, and San Diego Gas and Electric is very important, and time of use makes that a little bit tricky. and our solo software is mostly accurate, but off a little bit once in a while. All right, so the first thing I wanted to touch on real quick are these non-bypassable charges that Jonathan was talking about. A lot of times you'll meet with customers and they'll show you a proposal from another company, and the company will say, well, my minimum charge, they told me, is going to be $5, or I'm not going to owe the utility any money. In California, it's impossible to not owe anything. They're at a minimum for a small consumer going to use charge about $10 a month. This is a bill for one of my recent customers just for this past month. You can see their minimum charge is $14 for this month. This minimum charge in Edison, PG&E, and San Diego are from non-bypassable charges, or NBCs is what they're called. And to make it pretty clear, hold on, oh crap, I closed the picture. I had a good picture up. Hold on, let me open it back up here. Basically, the utility companies charge 2 pennies on top of a regular charge when you pull power back from the grid. Okay, so you pull power back from the grid at nighttime or in the morning, or if it's cloudy outside or something like that. Whenever you're using power that your solar system is not making, you pull from the grid. They charge you 2 pennies on that. So this chart here, for example, all of our utilities in California are pretty cool because you can go online and see hourly how you use electricity in your home. So I always have these for my presentations because I want to educate people. So this is a snapshot of June 13th, for example. This is midnight right here, 6 a.m., noon, all the way to midnight. Where the bars are going above the line, that's power that you're pulling in from the grid, or in this case, from Edison. So right here, for example, at 1 a.m., they pulled in just over 1 kilowatt hour. So they're going to pay Edison's regular price for that power, plus another 2 pennies. Those 2 pennies are your non-bypassable charges. So over here, so right here, the power is going below the line. This is solar power that we're kicking back to Edison. Okay, there's nothing being charged on that. They're just giving you credit for that power. Now, around 7 o'clock, the sun's gone down. You're using more air conditioning than your solar's making. So now you start pulling in power from the grid again. So here they start charging you that 2 pennies per kilowatt hour. So when you get a bill, what you're going to see on the bill is the non-bypassable charge is always going to be on this page right here, the very first page. That's all 3 utilities. And then on this page, you're going to see the details of the new charges. Remember, this is just the minimum charge for the month. They have to pay this. Future energy credits cannot cover that power. They have to pay that $13. And that's where these NBCs come in, is you'll see they're getting charged 0.15 plus 0.5, so 2 pennies on all the kilowatts they pulled in from the grid. So for this month, that equals $13. Another customer here, this one it was $14. The higher usage customers are going to pay more non-bypassables because they're using more power. Therefore, they're getting taxed that extra 2 pennies. So here's one Jonathan sent over earlier today. For the month, they used 1,240 kilowatts from the grid. So they paid about 2 pennies per kilowatt, or their minimum charge for the month was about $25. So a lot of times when you see Solo, or that's our proposal tool, it'll tell you that their minimum charge is $5 or $6. That's going to be wrong. A general rule of thumb, if you want to be honest with somebody as much as possible, is their NBCs or their non-bypassables will be roughly 6 to 8% of their monthly average now. So for this family here, they're paying $220 a month. I just tell them, hey, you're still going to owe Edison about $20 a month, maybe $25 a month. If they're paying $300 a month, I say you're going to owe $25 to $30 a month as a basic minimum charge. Okay. So that's what MBCs are. You basically you have to pay an extra 2 pennies for every kilowatt that you pull back from the grid. Is that pretty clear to people? Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
And really quick, Paul, just to clarify, you're talking about 2 cents per kilowatt of energy that you're actually getting back that you produced.
Yeah, but you're correct, but that doesn't matter. You're paying 2 pennies no matter what. If you pull in from the grid, you pay for it.
But I'm saying if you didn't produce that excess to push it back, then you would be paying the rate plus 2 pennies.
Kinda. So that kind of doesn't really fit into the equation all the way.
Okay.
All that matters is you're going to pay 2 pennies on top of the regular charge for power that you pull back from Edison.
Got it.
Whatever comes back from them, you know that you're going to have to pay an extra 2 pennies on it.
Gotcha.
So for the month, for example, if I pull back 1,500 kilowatts from Edison at nighttime, or if it's cloudy or whatever, I'm going to pay an extra 2 pennies on that. So I'm going to have a minimum charge of $30. Correct. All right. So that's the minimum charge thing. So remember, just like that picture showed, just a brief recap, the way it works is when you're making solar during the daytime, the majority of that power is going back to the grid. So in our utilities, you can go on here, and like I said, all this power is what you're pushing back to the utility company, and they're giving you credit for it. So if you can see, the bars are different colors. So here the bars are lighter, and then at 4 o'clock, they get darker, all the way up until 9 o'clock right here. That's because, like Jonathan said earlier, in California, when you go solar between 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, your price of power almost doubles. Now, can anybody answer why that happens? Why do they charge more for power between 4 o'clock and 9 o'clock?
I'm thinking that's when most people are getting home and everybody's there to start using the energy. They already know it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's exactly why they're doing it. So, and what else happens around 4 o'clock?
People get home from work, from school, and that's when they use the most power.
Yeah, for sure. Just like Ralph had said.
The sun starts to go down.
Oh, the sun goes down around 6.
Starts to go down. Yeah. So now they're charging you double, and you're not making energy with your solar system because the sun's going down. So normally, like maybe like now, April through like July, you might make power like to 6:30 or 7, depending on how your system is set up. But for the most part, the rest of the year, your power is going to cut off around 4 or 4:30. So in Edison and the other utilities are similar. Here's the difference in that price of power. So between 8 o'clock, refreshing. So between 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock, when you're sending the power back to the grid, they're only giving you 27 cents for that power. But between 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, when you're going to be pulling their power in, they're charging you close to double for that power. And then at 9 o'clock, it goes back to the smaller amount right here. So what ends up happening is we're sending power back to the grid when it's cheaper, but we're buying it back when it's more expensive. Therefore, you have to send them more daytime power to compensate for that more expensive nighttime power. So if you send them 2 kilowatts of daytime power, that's roughly equal to almost 1 kilowatt of nighttime power. So what that makes you have to do is build the system bigger than what they're actually using, so you send more daytime power back to them. Does that make, let me look at some faces here for faces that I can see. Diego Solar Pros. Does that make sense, bro? Does that concept make sense? You're on mute right now.
Yes, absolutely. It does, of course.
Okay, cool. What about Marisa?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, excellent. Now, one of the special utility is Edison. Because in Edison, the peak rates and the off-peak rates, they're very different all year long. So in Edison, you have to make your systems bigger all year long. So basically, here, if you guys want to take a snapshot of this page, this is probably, if you're not familiar with sizing these systems, these are your percent offset needed to minimize the bill. Now, remember, you're still going to have those non-bypassable charges no matter what. You always have to have those. But you need to make the system a little bit bigger to compensate for the cheaper daytime power and the more expensive nighttime power. In Edison area, for a Western roof, it roughly needs to be about 115% offset to minimize their bill. If you're doing an Eastern facing roof, it needs to be about 125% to minimize the bill. Who can answer why it has to be bigger on an Eastern roof versus a Western roof?
Because our sun sets on the west, so we have more later hours over there.
Absolutely. So
Also,
you're
we're not generating during the time of use. So we really need, if we have an eastern facing roof, we're getting less credit and we're not producing as much during when they're charging us the most.
correct. Yeah. So here is when your Western facing roof is going to eke out as much power as possible. So in a perfect world, like Jonathan had said earlier, or he'll show you a slide in a little bit, if you can maximize Western roof, Southern roof, that's the most important. Ignore the Eastern roof. If all else fails, ignore the Eastern one. Now, one of the benefits in PG&E and San Diego Gas and Electric, which is right here, is that the summer rates are far apart, but in the wintertime, which is November through May, the rates are almost the same, whether it's peak or off peak. So there, you have to make it bigger to compensate for the summertime difference, but in the wintertime, it's almost exactly the same, which is really cool. So for your rule of thumb offsets in PG&E in San Diego, western facing roof, you wanted about 105 to 110, a southern facing roof about 110 to 115, and an eastern facing roof about 120%. Because you still the same problem in the morning time where power gets more expensive in the afternoon time. So this is probably the most important thing to take away from here. Now, to give you an example, here's one of my families. Hold on here. Quick pro tip. When you have your customer system set up, I would highly encourage you to reach out to them and get the password in whatever email they set up for their online monitoring with Enphase or SolarEdge. I prefer Enphase because it's significantly more reliable than SolarEdge. So this is a snapshot of this family's production on April 12th. So yesterday, you can see it kind of coming up in the morning time. And then it's still making power up until roughly 6:15. On this house, I have mostly southern and western facing roof. So it makes power later on into the daytime. All right. So, and in here, you can kind of go and look at it daily or monthly if you want to. Don't pay attention to the orange line. That's wrong.
Just for everyone to know, this is the online monitoring website that Enphase gives our customers. They can actually track online their production every day, like Paul is showing you.
Yeah, and this is a tremendous help for you when selling to people, because you can log on and show them, hey, this is what you're going to get. And not to break it down too much, but you can even go in and see what each panel in the array is doing, where Sunrun, Tesla, some of the other companies like SolarMax in California, they don't do that. So you can't see the individual details. you can only see what the system is doing as a whole, because they don't want you to see that a panel's gone sideways. With us, we're going to come fix it if a panel goes sideways, which is really cool.
I have a question real quick, if you don't mind. So we as consultants could or would have access to something like this?
They have to give you the user ID and password.
Okay,
their
the
site.
customer. Okay, the customer
Correct.
does. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
And I do it on every job just to make sure, number one, the system's working, because every once in a while it's not. So you want to make sure it's working before they get 6 electric bills, you know, and they're mad. The other thing you can do with Enphase is you can go under settings right here, and you can click it, hold on, so that they get an alert if there's a problem with their system. And they'll get an alert within about 24 hours if there's a problem with their system. This is an Enphase thing. We cannot do this with SolarEdge right now. I'm hoping SolarEdge changes it. Anyways, back to the time of use stuff. So this family, they've had solar now for, let me see, is this the right one? All right. So they've had solar for 3 months. So see how it says they're in billing month 3 of 12. Okay. So year to date, they owe Edison $86. Now, this is in addition to their regular minimum cost that they have. So in California, you have to go to the back pages of the bill to see where a customer actually is. So for this month, they overproduced 262 kilowatts. They had a credit. If we go over here, this shows you for the whole month, that credit equaled $25. So here in California, they're going to show you your year-to-date numbers. So as of last month, they owed Edison $111 year-to-date on top of their minimum charges. This month, they have a credit of $25. Therefore, year-to-date, they owe $86 to Edison. Now, here's kind of the alarming part. They've only used 42 kilowatts from Edison on top of their solar production. So their system is basically made about 100% of what they've used in the home. But even at that 100% number, they still owe Edison $86 3 months into the year. And if you do it like this, hold on.
That's almost like 50 cents a kilowatt.
Bro, 86 divided by 42
$2.
is
Oh.
$2.
Oh, my bad. I was doing the math the other way around.
$2 a kilowatt.
Wow.
Yeah, for their leftover power.
Explain.
Well, part of that is because we're only at 100% offset so far. And for them, they're just using more power than they were the year before. So if we were at 120, 125% like we're supposed to be, this number would be much lower. It'd be closer to $5 or $10. But because I'm only at 100%, I still owe them $86 after 3 months. So if I spread that out, go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I still don't understand why it would be at $2 a kilowatt.
No, and that's a great point. Normally it's not. Normally the leftover power to Edison is anywhere from 25 to 30 cents a kilowatt hour. Maybe upwards
at the standard rate, correct?
Yeah, well, they're paying the, they're going to be paying whatever this rate is right here. So normally the leftover power to SCE is somewhere between 27 cents and 43 cents. That's why.
Gotcha.
Why is $2 a kilowatt hour? I don't know. I haven't had time to go through and do a thorough bill review on theirs yet, because I just got that bill this morning. So I have to see what's up with it. But
okay.
It's still, when you go through and you do the math on an individual month by month basis, I have yet to find their math wrong, which is very, very frustrating for me, honestly.
What I would say, though, is on a positive note, is that I saw that they started in December, which is smack dab middle of the winter, right? It's only 3 months. that is going to go down, down, down as we get into the summer months and we're producing more electricity than they're consuming, and they're going to be chipping away at that debit
That is correct, but we still need to produce more.
during the summer as well.
Yeah, so
To compensate.
to compensate for that, because typically a family is going to start overproducing like February, March, April, May, June is when you'll have negatives like this on the billing. And then normally they're going to owe the utility more in July, August, September, October. What you guys want to avoid are bills like this. So this family's had solar for 11 months. As of right now, they owe Edison $700 through that 11-month period. This family, their system has produced about 90% of what they've used in the house. And part of that is we were a little limited on roof space, so we couldn't cover everything. So they know that they're owing some money, but they have a family member that moved in and is just going crazy with electricity usage as well. But in a perfect world, we would have made about another 30% on this job power-wise so that they don't get a big bill like this. And it's always important for everybody to remember they're stuck with that, unless they just cut down their consumption a lot. If we don't sell it right up front, if we're not honest with people about how time of use works and everything, and they get stuck with a big fat bill at the end of the year for $500, $600, $700, they're going to be pissed at you and they're going to be pissed at Power. And then they're going to go on a Yelp and say, hey, Power sucks. Marisa told me that I wasn't going to owe Edison anything, and now I owe them a lot. Or they're going to say, Ralph told me that I was going to get extra production. And that's another thing to bring up is a lot of times on the Pioneer page in these utilities, you'll see, hey, then they'll put a little snippet up of what they did and how they sold the job and everything. And it'll say, hey, the system's going to produce 120%. They're still lowering their bill by $20 and they're getting another 20% power on top of everything. That's not true. That's not how it works. That extra 20% is just making sure that you minimize the bill down as much as possible. So those are the main examples of how it works and what to watch out for.
Real quick, Paul, I just want to take an opportunity. This $722, guys, that's $60 a month. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, did you have your nephew move in? Is he using more electricity? Oh, okay. Did we just have a COVID year where you're stuck at home more with 100 degrees weather and fires? Were you guys home on the weekends? Oh, okay. So $60 is really not that bad, right? It kind of makes sense why you used a lot more than when I first met you. And that's why it's so important to do bill reviews. Send me your electric bill 3 months in. Send me your electric bill 6 months to a year and look at your monthly statement, not just page one, but every page. And then you get to say, you know how to get rid of that $722, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? Give me one freaking referral and get $1,000 check. And I will get rid of that $722 for you. Who do you know that we can help? So don't, it's all mindset. It's all how you decide to communicate and flip the script. It's not a bad thing, but we have to lay the expectations up front to try to avoid these situations.
And that, you guys, was your pro tip of the week. I had to make my own effect right there.
There you go.
Right.
Well, and in this example here, about $300 of this bill was because of the extra family member. And then about $400 of it was just, we couldn't make it big enough to cover everything.
Right.
So it's still a good example of this is what you want to avoid and why you want to make sure to size the system right. The other thing, guys and gals, is that when people get their bills every month, it's amazing. This amount is building up there and accruing there. They can see it every month, but they don't look at that. They look at this. They're going to see $13. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they get the end of the year bill. And then in this spot is that number instead. So that's why it's also important to communicate with your customers. Hey, make sure you send me the bill. I'll do that bill review JB was talking about. So they're looking at this spot and that spot right there, because you'd be blown away that like people miss the $700, but they see the 13 first, and that's all they care about when they see it. So that's basically what I had, JB.
Thank you, sir. Paul, you're truly amazing leader. I appreciate you sharing, bringing your 11 years experience to this team, like so many other mentors here. So I truly, truly appreciate you. Let me see if I can go ahead and share my screen and wrap things
Thanks for
out
the nice
here.
words, buddy.
Do you know if you can hit stop share? Maybe I'll
Stop share. Okay.
Perfect. And guys, we'll do a Q&A here in just a few minutes. And if you do have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. All right, so I'm going to breeze through a few slides. Paul covered a lot of great information. And like real quick, I'll breeze through a few things. Most people are on a tier plan. That's also known as a domestic plan. And you can see the tiers here. This person is paying 25 cents a kilowatt with Edison on tiers. And then when they get switched to time of use, this is before solar. With time of use 4 to 9, this person used 1,700 kilowatts, which resulted in a $500 bill. They're paying 28.5 cents a kilowatt hour. Crazy, crazy prices here in California. And with net metering 2.0, if you go solar, you will not be able to keep your tier plan. You will have to go to a time of use plan. That is one of the requirements of net metering 2.0 is you have to switch to a time of use plan when you go solar. So Paul already covered all this. The general rule of thumb, 115% west facing, 120 south, 125 east. You have to design a higher offset. That is not giving them extra energy, guys. That is just hoping to get the minimum monthly bill down to the NBCs, the 10, 15, 20, $25 a month. So that is the bare minimum in California to try to achieve on the offset. A San Diego bill before solar, 31 cents a kilowatt hour in San Diego. All right, this is a post-solar Edison bill, month number 2. You can see in August here, they are below the line, and they have a credit of $122 because they gave back 639 kilowatts here. So always go look at all pages of the Edison bill to see where your cumulative running total is at. Here's an even worse example, guys. This is someone I helped like 2 years ago or something. You can see here that this guy owed $1,200 at the end of his 12-month settlement, and he was not happy with me. But what happened here? October through May, the solar did its job. It eliminated the bill. We should have been earning a credit. We should have been below the line March, April, and May. But if you look at August and September here, with solar, it would have been higher without solar. But with solar, it was this high, pulling from Edison. Now let's go look at last September in 2019. Before he had solar, he used less from Edison than when he had solar. What does that tell us? This guy used way, way more electricity than when I first met with him. Why could that be? We had a COVID year. We had ACs running. We're home all the time running ACs. We had fires, 100-degree weather. So this guy used way more with solar. And I have to communicate that to him. And I have to tell him that one referral will give you $1,000 to help with this $1,200 bill. So very important. Even though we tell customers, send us your bill, look at every page, you know, we have to monitor the system. Sometimes in very few situations, this will still happen.
You can actually even see on there, Jonathan, that his daily average usage of kilowatt hours, it doubled.
Yep. Good.
I mean, when you designed his system, you were probably basing it off of the 20 to 31. I mean, then Now he's using 41. And customers just have a tendency, once they have solar, they think that they can use more electricity.
Yep, it's called the solar effect. You have
Yeah.
solar, you're going to use more no matter what.
My buddy Brunasso did a really funny video about that on YouTube. You should look it up somewhere.
I've sent that to customers. It's hilarious.
This is a PG&E post solar bill. They had a minimum delivery charge here of $10. And you can see when they go below the line in the months, and then when they go above the line. So they're earning those credits in the months February through July there, which is great. All right, so for designing, like Paul said, like we all said, west facing and south facing are the two best. You really, really want to maximize west and south no matter what. Even if it's the front of the house, I'll let them know west facing, you're not going to need as many panels. If you choose to do east, you're going to need more panels. So, you know, your monthly payment, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, might be $20, $25 more just to be on the east. Is that okay with you? You know, a lot of wives will say, I don't care, put it on the back. And so, okay, fine. But, you know, we're going to have to add 5 more panels back there. You know, at $5 a panel, it's going to be $25 more per month. Are you okay with that? So it's having those educated conversations and be willing to tell them why west is better on the front of the house, or if we don't do west, what are your other options? So this house that you're looking at here, south, south, and west, is in San Diego. Now this is a picture of their average hourly usage. I'm dying with this camera here. Okay. So as you can see, right around 8 a.m., 9 a.m., the system starts giving power back to the grid. And like Paul said, the color changes, right? So in orange, what's happening? Because I designed west and south, it's giving energy back at 4, which gives you a credit at a higher rate. That's why west is so huge. To help offset the higher cost that we're pulling back from the grid. So designing south and west is so important. If you do east, you have to have a lot more solar panels. And then I'm going to kind of wrap things up here. Batteries in California are primarily for blackout protection. They do have something called load shifting. They can give a little energy back to the grid. Between 4 to 9, that is the best utilization. It can actually put back a few kilowatt hours, but the primary advantage is blackout protection. And there are tax credits. Sometimes there's extra incentives called SGIP on batteries in California, especially if you're in a fire zone or you have a water well on your property. There's SGIP credits for extra incentives back. And like in Edison, when you have a battery or you have an electric vehicle, you can qualify for a special time of use plan called D prime, which may—
Hey, Jonathan,
Yes.
real quick, sorry to interrupt. Is there still funding available for that self-generation incentive program? Do you know?
There is still some available. Currently, I'm saying about possibly $2,000 per battery. It's not guaranteed, but Jennifer Brantley, the project manager, is the one that helps oversee that application and incentive. So I'm saying there's a chance I could get you $2,000 back. Paul, you have something to add on that?
No, you're right. About $2,000.
Okay, cool.
I have a question.
But it's definitely not guaranteed. So that's why our proposal doesn't include it on there, because California like yanks that thing every couple months, and then people can be waiting for a year to get that money if they get that money. So that's part of why Power doesn't put on our proposal as far as being an incentive.
Yep. Marisa?
We have an SGIP department, correct? With
Jennifer
Power?
Jennifer Brantley is the one that helps submit those applications for our customers that purchase batteries in California.
Is that automatic with Power after install?
You know, I'm not 100% sure on that. If it were me, I would email Jennifer Brantley once it's installed to ask her to help them get the SGIP application.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure.
Reach out before Marisa with
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer just to make sure, you know, don't sell it and say, yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Then get the deal closed. Then you call Jennifer and she's like, oh, we changed that yesterday.
Yeah. And when I present it, I say this is a possibility. You know, we'll apply for it and see if there's any funds left, but I'm selling them based off of the prices if they don't get it, which they're already excited about. And then before we wrap up, in California, like we mentioned earlier, there is something called a consumer protection guide. It was 23 pages. Now I think it's 29 pages. Take the time to read this, get with a mentor, look it up in the blog.power.com resources. This is California specific. They have to sign this document before they sign their solar agreement. This is in the solar docs. When you request docs, it will come in there, and you have to enter your HIS number in this guide when you sign it as well. All right. So wrapping it up here before some Q&A. Paul, thank you so much again for all the great
Yeah, thank you, brother.
the great nuggets. Design higher percentage, guys. Set the expectation, the minimum non-bypassable charges. If they were using $300 to Edison, their NBCs would be $25 to $30 per month minimum. In California, don't say you're gonna have a $5 bill. That's just setting up the bad expectations. Lay the expectations with your customer that you're gonna do a bill review 3 months after solar. Really hammer in that ambassador program, and design it with west or south or as much offset as possible. So, oh crap. One sec. Just a few last announcements. If you haven't already, go to power.live. There will be classes starting, I believe, next month. 2-day conventions, monthly 4-hour classes, weekly 1-hour breakouts. If you would like additional training with Power, go to power.live. This is a $35 a month, all-inclusive access for these trainings, which should be pretty awesome from the corporate headquarters. If you're newer here or you have a teammate that just joined recently, I really live by this getting started steps to success. It's a Google document. I keep it on jmbrunasso.com/power. I can email it to you if you reach out to me, hit me up on Facebook. But if you study all the lines, all the steps, all the videos to share, you want marketing materials, you want to get swag, you need your HIS, you want to do trainings, you need the calendar, you want to watch 30 videos on how to learn about solar. Take the time, go through the videos like you are today. And this is a great steps to success that I like to share with everybody. And the university too, Power University, is getting built out. There's lots of trainings and materials there for us to use.
I just went ahead and shared that in the chat.
Oh, boom. Thank you, Jared. 12 months free promo, guys. It's been extended for April. So 12 months of no payments. We can still offer that as well. I need to update this to say April, not March. And then the Texas events are continuing. So we have San Antonio, April 15th. We have Houston, April 14th. In San Antonio, one of the leaders in Power Hitters, Anthony Blackshear, is going to be down there with 10, 15 of his teammates. So if you're in Texas, try to hit some of these events. Meet Charles, meet Melissa, meet a lot of the leaders in Texas. They're jam-packed events. All right, last two things. So future events, tomorrow on powercalendar.com, new consultant launch training, 11 a.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Try to jump on that if you're new. Consultant training tomorrow at 12 and a Q&A on Power Calendar every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific. The next trainings for this Tuesday training, all are welcome every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Next week, we have Brenton and Jennifer Brantley. They are operations managers. They actually manage the project managers. They're going to go through on a high level some good operation tips and techniques, advice for us regarding operations and post sales. 427, Aparna had to reschedule on me, but that's okay. Oops. When we get her to train us for an hour, I guarantee it'll be one of the best trainings we ever will have. And it'll be so touching and moving, designing your why, how to communicate with homeowners. I'm beyond excited for her to train us. And then May 4th, we're going to have Dean, the VP from solarinsure.com, our 30-year Solar Insure, Paul Leon's favorite warranty coverage in the industry.
Nice, dude. That's great.
Yeah, so he'll be on personally with us. I think he's on this week or next week for Power Calendar also, by the way. And then Solar Edge is trying to get onto this training with us to make us believers and help educate us. We'll also do a roofing training soon to come and some real estate and some lead gen. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Paul, you're the man. You always bring me and teach me so much value. So appreciate you. Jarrett.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you bringing the energy and the leadership like always. And we will kick it off to some Q&A right now. Feel free to type anything in the chat.
I think for the most part in the chat, bro, everything's been covered. I don't see anything in there that we didn't answer typing there or.
Hey, Jonathan, this is Joel. I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
For the buyback, I just want to